Hello guys, welcome to ClickyWalls. I'm just making this video to show you guys how to use the studio in its current form. It still needs a lot of updates. If you find anything wrong with it, obviously just let me know. We've just uploaded the Keystone collection. I've not made that public yet because I've got to check it. The town square is public, so if you own that, there's lots of pieces in there, so that'd be a good one to have a play around with. And I've also released Dockland's Crab House, which is just something that I've done. It's an unofficial build basically, and that's available to anybody that's a member of the Underkeep. And what we're going to do today is just go through the basics of using the studio. So at the moment up here you can see we're on my builds, so this is your own personal builds. Anything that you build will just be in here, nobody will be able to see it. It's only available to you unless you click the publish button, and when you publish it, it then goes over to publish builds where everybody can see it, view it, they can make edits of it, but they can't change your original. And if they do edit your build in, it will maintain your name on there as well as the original creator. And there's a few in here already, but there is a filter to help you browse this. If you press this little compress all, it just shrinks everything up, makes it a lot easier to find what you're looking for. But you've also got all these, put that in there. Oh, I think it might have been published already. So you've got all these tags, so you can turn off all the builds, or you can just put the official builds, so then it'll just show you the official ones, or all the community builds if there's something that you're looking for that somebody else has created. The ones that you have personally published or owned by me, and what that means, they're the official ones that you own as well as ones that you may have made. So that's just when you're trying to rebuild something. So for example, if you wanted to rebuild the creaky gantry, just open that up a little bit, and then there'll be a button. No, I moved the button, you just press that. And then it will load it all up, and then you can go in and you can chop it and change it as much as you want. And if you press the settings button, then just move that out of the way a minute, then you can save the build. Now this is mine, so if I save it, it's just gonna save over the original, so I won't bother with that. What I am going to do is I'm just going to go back to my builds, and then I'm just going to click new build and then give it a name. And what we're going to do, I'll just call it test because I can't, it's late and I can't think. So it's going to be an interesting one. So just give it a name, and then up here, these are all the builds that are available to you in green. Mine are all green because obviously I've got all of them. If you click the big button, it will just switch between all the different ones, right? So if you click the plus, so if you've got that one selected and then you click the plus, you're at both of them. So that's how that works. So I'll leave the town square on, and sort of Dockland foundations, why not? Let's have those two. And then you can just use this button to minimize it back up just to get it out of the way, and then it gives you more space here. And then the same with these, you can look at everything at the same time, or you can just click through. So you could have walls or connectors, for example. If you click the plus, it'll give you walls and connectors. So that's how that works. And if you want to, you can pull this out and pull it right back in if you want to, so it's out of the way completely. I usually like having it like that, but depends how big your screen is. So I'm only using half my screen at the moment, just so that I've got space over here to do other stuff. Right, so this is the main building, so you can have more than one building now. And let's just start with, I like to start with walls, and I'll choose a wall, a Dockland wall, or one of these. What am I going to build? I'm going to have a Dockland wall, because I think I'll build some strange little building. So this opens up and it just gives you a little look around. You might not have some of this stuff, because I can change the name if the name's wrong, and I can change where it goes as well. But you'll probably just have this bottom bit where you can either download that STL file if you own it, and if you want to add it to the window, you can. All the basic controls are on here, and then your settings are in the settings there. I know somebody asked about the settings the other day. It wasn't named settings, it was named the thing up there. Now there is a bit of overlap here. I need to sort this out, because when I did it I was on I've got like an ultra wide screen, and so it wasn't a problem. Now I've shrunk it down, I can see it's a problem, so I need to fix that. But this is a work in progress, guys, so any little things like that that you spot I might not have spotted, let me know and I'll get it fixed. So we started with a wall, then we need a connector, and this is a low wall, so we'll have a low, let's have that, is that, yeah, that's an elbow, we'll add that. So these should snap like that, so, but not every piece snaps yet. I know this is an ongoing thing, I have got to fix it, but there's a really quick way of building. So at the moment we're in main building. If we bring it down, we're on level 1, okay, and we bring that down and there's our two pieces, so we can select them there. Okay, now we can also select them on the screen. If I want to move that to there, I just do the duplicate button. It's gone green, so which means it's basically there's a copy of it there now. If you click off of it, it's easy to miss that, and if you click on it again, if I just move it, look, so the original is there. I'm not going to move it, I'm going to leave it there, and I just press that red arrow and it'll move it over there. The brown arrows will rotate it to where we want it. Do that again, right, and then it'll just snap in. Well, it looks a bit weird with these ones. So that's the delete button. It always gives you a warning before you delete it, or you can use delete key. Let's put this one on there. So it's not on the right level, so I just bring it up. Doesn't feel like this one's going to snap. Oh yeah, it does. There you go. It just brought it in at the wrong level for some reason. Anyway, so that's snapped in. Oh, but that's just an end one. I don't want that. I want that one, which is an elbow. So it's got the two connectors on. Let's try that. So just delete that. Let's brought that in at the right level. Right, there we go. Let's do that again. So then we duplicate it, move it over. So this red arrow represents that one, and the blue arrow obviously represents this one or that one. So we could move it up there, we could move it down here, we can move it that way. It moves it 111 millimeters, and that is the exact distance that you would move a wall. So it'd be the same if you, oh, I've done that wrong. So if you was moving this wall, and then you duplicate it, and then you move it this way 111 millimeters. You could then move this, duplicate it 111. When you rotate these, because they're off-centered, you just have to click them in. Do that, bring it down and rotate. Okay, and then that, we rotate it, duplicate it, then rotate it. Because it's in the middle, if we want to move it this way, we do that. It's going to move it too far because that's 111, so you want half of that. So if you press the red arrow, gives you this box comes up, and then you can move it 55.5, which is exactly half, and then that'll be the same there. So click that, 55, like that. Now if you wanted to, you could type it in here. Look, you could just type in 111 move, and it will do it that way. But these arrows obviously do it a lot quicker. So that's how you build a little wall really quickly. Now this is on level 1, and so John Sterling was asking, can you move things quickly around? You can. So if we're on level 1, let's just say we want to do level 2. So we'll make another one above. You can also go below. So if you're going downwards, you know, into dungeons, you could do that one, but this one will bring you up a level. So you can select all of it, but you can't just drag and select. So the way that you do it is, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can select this, and that'll select everything on that level, and then you can duplicate it that way. Or if you just select one piece, you select this arrow, and then you could just drag it over, and then you've selected everything. Okay, and then you press duplicate, and then there's 2 buttons on this level. Look, so this is level 0, and this is level 1, and there's 2 buttons there. Let me just pull this out just so you can see it a little bit better. It says assign here and move here. I'm going to move it here first to show you what that does. So that puts it up on the next level. Now it's not put it directly on top because these are only half walls. Okay, so if this was a full wall, it'd put it exactly 60 millimeters high so that it would line up, and it's moved it all into this level here. Look. Okay, so if you wanted to select that again, you can just press that and all the bits are in there. However, let's just do another level. Right, so now we're up to level 2. I could select all these and then duplicate it, and if I put a sign here, it's assigned them all to this level, but it's not moved them up. So that's the difference between assign and move. So if you're assigning it, you're just saying this is the level that I want it on. But if you're moving it, you're actually moving it up to or down to that level. Because sometimes you might, let's just put that there. In fact, what we'll do, I'll just delete that. Right, so now there's nothing in that level. So select that, and then you might duplicate it and then press the up arrow. So now you've moved it up and you've got, oh, I haven't put it in there. Then if you move it to that level, it's going to jump up to the next height because you've already moved it up. So so what you would do, now I've deselected it, they're all going to be in here somewhere. So this is where your little arrow comes in. So select one, grab your little arrow, select everything, right? You've already moved it up, so now you just want to assign it to this level. So it moves into this folder, but it's not actually moving the bits up because you've already moved them up. Okay, hope that makes sense. And you can, if you want to, you can just drag this and drop it into another level. And then if you have got all your bits and pieces mixed up and you're not sure where they are, just click that, and then it will show you everything that's in that level. If I select this and everything that's in that level, see where it's gone? Because I dragged it down, it moved it down to that level. So it's this one here. if I just move it out, you can see it went straight on top of that one. So another way that you could do that, you could move it here, and now it's back up to that one. I'll just lock that in, and then you could, if you didn't want to move it but you wanted one in there, again you just do your duplicate, and then you could just press down like that, and now it's, because I've just pressed down, it's still in this level. So this is what I wanted to show you. So now if I select this, I can see there's a bit that's in this level but it's in the wrong place. So it is actually in this level, but it's just lower than it should be. So then if you select that, you can see that this one is not, so it's got everything selected, but this one isn't, because this one's on the other level, which was that one. So if I just move that out of the way and select that, and you can see that there, because that was over the top of it. There is a delete button in the build planner once you start laying it out. So if you do accidentally create more than one item on top and it gets lost, when you're doing the build planner, it's laying out piece by piece, and you will see it, and then you'll be able to just go in, and there's a delete button that you can get rid of any extra bits. So that's the levels. So all these levels, this is all one building. What I've added recently is you can add more than one building. So you click that, building 2, okay, and the building 2 goes down here. It's got its own levels as usual, but you might want this level, and you could just go, actually I want this as another building. So what we're going to do, we could drag it over here a little bit, and then we will move it down a couple of levels so it's on the ground floor, and then we'll just pick that up and we'll put it in this one, which it didn't go in. Why is that not working? It was working earlier. Right, I might need to look at that. We could still do it, but we'd have to get all of them. And now that's just picked up that one. Well, yeah, you should be able to pick up the level and just drop it in. I don't know why it's not doing it. If I add a level, right, there's a bug. I found a bug, everybody. I'll sort that out. But yeah, you will be able to move them. You can't move them now, but you will be able to. What's he doing down there? I'll pull that back up. Yeah, so on level 2 then, so you can, or you will be able to just drag them into that level or that level. That's to line up, and you can see it as I'm dragging them into the level. If I'm dragging them into that level, they're on one level. If I drag them into that one, they're on another level. Yeah, so they're all sort of spaced up over this one there. Look. And this lights up to show what you've got selected. So that's that one there. So if these are all closed and you want to know what a piece is, you click on it, and then you can see that's in that building. Click this one, it's in that building. And that's the same when you open it up, it shows it there. So if this is closed and you're selecting, so you can see what level they're on, and then if you open it up, then obviously then it lights up like that. So that's another way of just finding the bits that are in your building. If you've lost them, there's a clue in the little arrows lighting up. So what I would do with this now is, so let's just select all these pieces here. So they're all selected, and then I can either move them to this level, so I'm just looking like you should if I do that. Yeah, so you can select more than one. If you hold control, you can just click them like that as well, or you can get your arrow and select them like that, and then you can assign them. If it's that, the assign button disappears, so because it thinks you want to move that level into that level, which you can't, so I'll just do that for now. I might change that actually. Right, so there we go, and then we can move them. If we move them, it'll put them on that level, but not that one because that got manually moved up on its own. So we could just use a little green arrow, move that down, and then what I'd probably do, just select all of that and just bring it back up so it's at the right level. There. So now what you've got essentially, if we duplicate that and then just move that up, and then we can just, because I've already moved it up, then I would just press assign here and then it'll go up to the second level. So then we got that bottom level, top level, and we got the same in this building. We got that level, and then we got that level, and then we got an empty one at the top, and you can just delete the levels if you want as well. So that's how you use the building structure, and that's really it. That's the basics of everything. Now when you've built what you're building, you can then take pictures. So you press your settings and your camera's there. You can change your lighting first if you want to, depending on what way round you put. You might put your front door and you want to get the angle from this side. This controls the height of the sun to create those long shadows, and then this one where it is in the sky overhead. To create that, get your angle that you want, and then just press your camera button and it takes a picture, and then you just save that picture, and the last picture that you save is the one that becomes the main picture, but you can change it if you want to. I'll show you that in a minute. So that's how you do that. And then there's one other thing that you do. If you've built something amazing, and you go into settings, you then do build instructions, and this takes you into another window. I'll just give it a minute to load up, and it will generally place things down in the way that you place them when you built, which is not always the right way, because you might put all your connectors in, duplicate loads of them, or you might put your walls in first. So this system is just to arrange everything, and it's basically showing people how they can build it. But you may even want to use it yourself, because if you make a massive building, it's difficult to remember where everything goes, whereas this will then tell you. So you've got a forward arrow and back arrow, so if you click next, that's good, we want that next. That one, that's fine. Now this one, you don't want that there, so we'll move that one down, and we'll move it down again, and we'll move it down again till we get to that one. This is where I do it. There's lots of different ways to do this, but I tend to do it because if I click on there or click on that one, you see what it's doing? It's jumping to the fourth piece that's put down. So if I do next and then next, so this is the sixth piece that's put down. So you kind of want that 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how I do it. So if I click that and move it up to number 1, click next, that's number 2, click next, that's number 3, click next. We don't want that as number 4. So we find what we want. That one is number 4, so we just move it up. Oh, did that wrong. We just move it up to number 4. Then click next. That's number 5, that's correct. Number 6, we don't want that as number 6, we want that as number 7. we move it down to 7, then this one becomes number 6. So click next, and then next again, and then that's your final one. And then this comes up saying next level. So we're in the main building on level 0, ground floor, and then we click next, and now we've gone up to level 1. And we do exactly the same there, where you're just moving through. This one, we're going to go the other way. So if we go right to the bottom, this is the last one. So if you want to, you can move it up a lot. I think that moves it up 10 spaces, which is going to put it right up to the top. Which, such a small build like this, you wouldn't really want to use that, but I'm just showing you where we are. So that will be the last one that's put in. That's the first one. So you can just decide what you're going to do. Now, you should, this is what I was saying, like if you've got a duplicate, this is where you can delete it. If you find that there's 2 in the same space, you can just delete one. So what you can do is, if you hold control, you should be able to move multiple at the same time. Is that going to let me do that? Yeah. So then you can move them all up. That didn't work, did it? No. Again, it's not working exactly how I want it to, but I'll get there. So with this one, we come around this way. So that's number 4. So 2, that's number 1. We don't want that number 1. Ooh. Keep moving that down. This is another way to do it until it gets to the piece where it's supposed to be. Right, I was moving the wrong bit there, wasn't I? We're done now. Oh, move that out of the way. Right. Let's start with, let's start with that one. That one. Don't want that one. Don't want that one. That one. So we want to move that one down. Okay, next. So we'll move that one up. 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 There we go. So now they should be in that order, except that last one. But that's okay, because you could put that one on, then put that one on, and then you'd stick that last one in like that. And so then you've got your first floor and your second floor, they're both done. And then you can move on. You could press next level. I won't say next level, should say next building, I guess, but yeah, next level, and start again. Now this is a bit boring because these are just all boxes, but you should get the idea, get the gist of how that works. And then when you've put everything in the order on all the levels and all the buildings that you want, you then just save the planner. And what that will do then, when you publish it, everybody who wants to know how to build it, they can just go into the planner, click the next button, and it will show them each piece that needs to be added. So if we exit out of there, go back to here. So this is my builds. Okay, and this, it's here, look, so it's the test. I own it. I can download the files for this build. I've got the instructions, and if it's an official build like the creaking gantry, you'll get download files for this build, which is the same as that, but you can also download updated set version 4. What that will do, that button, it's saying updated version 4 because I've updated it, and so this is the new update. I don't actually need to update it because I've got the files because I'm the one who uploaded them. But if you ever get it saying download updated version 4, this is just the files on your computer. This is just the files that are in this build. This one is the files that are in this build, all of these, and any extra bits. So, I don't know, for example, this town square has got coins in it. There's no coins in the build, but if you press this button, it downloads the coins and everything, and it downloads it all to your computer. This, which is, so where if you want to save it on your computer, but you don't have to. There's no real point to doing this unless you wanted to print out the coins and things like that. This is the main one, because what this will do, this will download it to computer in a folder with every single bit that's used and none of the bits that are not used, which becomes important, especially if you're doing something like this and you've only used certain files. You don't want to download everything that you're not using. You just want to download the files that are in there. And then once you've downloaded them, you've got your print list. So just go onto here, says what it is. So obviously I haven't used many parts, it's just 2 parts, but lots of them. So 16 of them, 16 of them. And then print list, it will find your printer, and then you can just print it off in black and white, nice and easy, and then that will tell you then what you'll add in to your build plate, ready for slicing. And if you I've gone back into Studio. If I just go back into here a minute. So once you've printed it off, you know what you put. You don't have to print it off if you're using you can do it straight off the PC. That's how I do it. So I've got one window open there, one window over here, and I'm just looking at what I need to put on the print bed. And then when I've printed the bits off from the print list, that's when you can then just press your instructions. And this is what we did earlier, where you just got your little next, but obviously you can't rearrange them. This is the way that I've set the build planner up. So it's just showing you how to build it. And I quite like using this on my phone. On your phone, this ClickyWalls is actually an app. So if you long press where you can add an icon to your phone, you can also get the chance to add it as an app, which just runs a bit smoother, and it's really good for when you're putting it together, because I tend to do it in the living room or something like that, and I've just got my phone with me and I can just click through all the bits that I've got and put the build together. I think I've covered most things. Your settings, you've got your camera, your view, so your set view. So if you started building, for example, I'll just close that a minute, started building here, and then you realise this is the front actually, and you've got a return to view, and you click that, didn't work, click that, why is it not working? Oh, so it doesn't actually set the angle, it just sets the distance. So if you're over here, it will just whiz it in. I thought it did the angle as well. But you can set the view. Let's say I wanted this to be the view. You go to settings, set view, and then that will always set the view there. I wonder if yeah, it's whizzing it around and setting it back at that same angle. So it wasn't doing it before because the view hadn't been set manually, so it was just doing a default view, which was just the distance. But that will just always bring you back to, if you're building something massive like a big dungeon and you want to jump to the center of it or the start of it or whatever, that's what that set view's for. This is the move. It's always on move by default, which means this. So if you select that, the move arrows disappear and then you select things. and it jumps straight back to the move, which is these. And I showed you before, if you're free moving, you can see how far you're moving it. So you could do, I want to move it 120. You can just slowly do that. Or if you wanted it 122, you can just click those to get it millimetre perfect. As you're clicking those, you see it won't move, but then you commit it with the move button. So that's really useful if you're doing that and you want to move it. These two are the most common. You want to move it 101, but you can do 101 with these. So it's usually this 55 that I use a lot because it's the half measure. And these ones will obviously move it up 60, but if you do that, you might want to move it up 120. So you're moving it up 2 layers at a time again, but these is quick just to move it down. Actually, what you might want to do, if we just do this, so we will select, no we won't, we will select those, and then we want to move it down by 30, so it's sat on there, and that's not us moving it by 60. So if you do that and the arrow is pointing up and you put a positive in, it will move it up. But if you keep doing this, I should just click that, look. If you click that and but you want to move it down, then obviously you'd have to put in a minus, and we put in minus 30 and then do the move, and then it bring it down. So that's how that would work if you wanted, you know, because you could easily build like that with little walls, but it just means these arrows, they're just set at 60, but you can yeah, you can move them with that. Well, that's a sideways, so I haven't got an up and down one because you tend not to move them up by 30 at a time, but I'm always using the 55, so that's why that's there. Right, so that's that. What else have we got? This one, that just turns it upside down, because some things are designed to be used upside down, and that, as you can see, it's a slightly different look than that. Almost looks like a normal wall. So you could just quickly go round and do that. I'll show you what they're used for. If we go into wall, we're in, well, that one, look. So this one, you could just quickly flip it upside down. There's another way you can move that upside down, and that's in inspector mode. We've got these, so it's default set at 90. If you move it in the X direction, see, or the Z direction, would be spinning it around that way, or even the Y, which is that way. So this is the Y direction on there, so it does exactly the same thing, but because this prints that way up, because this will obviously print a lot better than the curve upside down. It would print most of that and then it'd get up, and then you'd have a shitty bit there in the middle where it's not supported, so then you'd have to put supports in. So they're designed to be printed this way so that you don't have to have supports, and then when you've printed them and you're putting them together, you'd want to spin them round. So yeah, so you have to spin them round in this program, because that's how they're going to look in the build. So that's that. And then if we got that bottom bit, where's the bottom bit? Oh no, that's not the bit I thought it was. That's a bit of the rat warren entrance when you're using it on a low one. I was thinking it was the swarf basin, which is Just refresh that. Nope. Nope. What did I do? I've been dim. Oh, there it is. Went straight past it. I don't know why these are white. They should look like this, but they don't. They look like that. It's just, again, I will sort that out. But yeah, so this one, it's already upside down for some reason. But that would be normally, so that would print that way round. It's probably because I've already used it and dropped it in upside down and it's just remembered it. But then you would have that. Oh, I'm lagging up a bit. Right, I'm back. That lagged up horribly there for a minute, but it's working again now. So yeah, I think I'll this here, the bottom, top, and free is to do with positioning with the lock-in. So you shouldn't have to use that very often. If you wanted this to lock, so it's not really locking in because I've whizzed it upside down, I think. Move it that way and it locks in. If I flip it round, it's not locking, and I think it's not really that, but this is more when you've got like little greebling pieces, like little signs and things like that. So when they snap, oh yeah, that's what I was going to say, is this little magnet one comes in handy. So you press the magnet button on the one that you want to move, click it there, and then where you want it to go, and then it go over there. So at the moment it's set to the bottom, but it's the same height, the post, so it wouldn't really make much difference. But if this was a 600 post, then and you set it to the bottom, it is snapped down there, whereas if you set it to the top, it was snapped to the top of the post. I'm not sure if it works that well because I haven't really tried it that much. But another thing is, I wanted to say that these, when you rotate in these, let's do that one, you can do 45 degrees. Again, it's very unlikely that you're going to need this. This is for a few little pieces, so like the terraces in the town square, they're like little platforms, and I needed it to do that. So you can just set it like 5 degrees if you want, and or even just 1 degree, just fine tune something. So maybe if you've got an awkward roof or something like that, then that would come in handy, but most of the time you're not going to need that. And then this, again, this is just fine positioning, does exactly the same really if you just click that and you're doing that, but it's just a little bit easier because you've got them all there. You might want something, you know, if you're putting a signpost up or something, you could just move it down a little bit. And you've also got your duplicate button there, which does exactly the same as that, and the remove button, which is exactly the same as this delete button there. That's where they started, and I moved them into this because I just found when I'm working, I just like to have this nice and close, and I can just move it around. It's got all my major tools on there that I like for building. If you guys have got any suggestions of anything that you'd like to see changed, let me know, or if there's any bugs like this overlapping that you feel needs to be sorted out, let me know. Any features on here, if we've got two, we can create a group as well. So I don't think we said that earlier. So in here, if you've got all these pieces, you can create them into a group. You name the group if you want, and then that will just put everything in a group, which let's just say is those bits. So it would just makes it easier for certain things, just putting them in groups like that, and then you can quickly select pieces. Really handy if you've got multiples of something that you wanna continually duplicate. You know, you can easily select that over and over. Select that group again, and then move it that way. Yeah. So you should actually, once you've used it a little bit, you can start building quite quickly with these tools, especially with these little ones here. And yeah, you got all your filters here, got all your builds there. You can have all sets, all my sets. I've got everything, so mine looks exactly the same. If you've got one in here that is not green, it's because you don't own it. If you don't own it, you can still build it, but it just means when you download it, those bits will be missing, so you won't be able to print it off. In fact, I don't think it'll let you download anything that doesn't have something that you own. I'm not 100% sure, can't remember how I set it up, but it means that, you know, you can use any piece you want, and if there's a piece that you haven't got, you can buy it. It doesn't show up on mine again because I own everything, but you can only buy, you can't buy less than 4 pieces because you've got to spend £2. It's just because it's a card transaction. Anything less than £2 is not worth it, because I'll end up paying the card company more than what I'm actually getting paid. So you've got to buy 4 pieces. So pieces are just set 50p each, and then if there's a piece you really want, rather than buying, like, you know, the whole gantry, and you just wanted a bit, or let's just say it was the swarf basin, and you just wanted that bridge piece because you just really want to build a bridge quickly and you don't want to buy the whole thing, you can just go on there, just buy that bridge piece, a couple of the pieces, and that's just for a couple of quid. Yeah, we put that in because I know some people will prefer just buying the bits that they need as they go, and some people like me would rather just have everything anyway, so just whatever your preference is. And what else is there? I think that's it. I think that's everything. Have I covered everything? The groups, you can rename them, you can ungroup stuff. Got all your buildings, gone through that. Levels within your buildings. I said that you can pull this out depending on how big your screen is, same with this one. This, if you've got this big menu up here, you can just press that button, just shrinks it down, gives you a little bit more room. And I think that's it. And then when you're ready and you've built something absolutely amazing, you can just publish it in this publish section. Now just bear in mind, guys, there's only a few of us at the moment that are building. Anything you put on here, you're like early adopters, so in a few years time, when we've put all the marketing in and all the rest of it, and we start getting lots of customers flooding in, there's thousands of people using it, your builds, whatever you build now, are probably going to be right at the top because you're the first guys here. So yeah, get building, create something amazing. Say I am updating, starting to add all the buildings, the other build sets. So got the Keystone collection there. I'm not it might have automatically published it because this isn't a build set. So, you know, something like the town square, once I've imported it in, I had to build all the structures before I could release it. And so that took a little while for me to publish that. But this one, it might have auto-published it just because there's nothing to build. As you can see, if I just open this, so there's a lot more here. But there's less here because there's no print list because it's not a build set. It's just pieces, and there's nothing to look at. There's just some just some random images on it. But in your builds, it should be showing up here. There it is. Look, so I've got the Keystone collection, and so this is what this one is. Just all your different connectors. I'll just put those in at walls, but yeah, all the different connectors and stuff like that. So going to come in really handy when you're building something big. Yeah, this is the town square. So it took me ages to build that. And that was all the little bits. And this is where I put in the buildings as well. So before, everything else was just one building, but with this, because there's lots of buildings in there, that's why I added the building section in. Anyway, I'm going to stop waffling now. Happy clipping, guys, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one.